Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Eshleman. I am a researcher who focuses on things like disability, inclusion, and assistive technologies. And today I want to talk about something that shapes everything from how we design buildings to how we talk about disability to how we write policies and fund services. And that something is the models that we use to understand disability. So don't worry, this is not a philosophy lecture. I just wanted to explain three of the many different ways that people have understood disability over time. So let's start with one that you have probably heard of before. The medical model sees disability as a problem located in the person. So something's wrong with the body or the brain, and the goal is to diagnose, treat, or fix it. So in this view, if someone can't walk, the solution is help them walk. If someone's autistic, the focus is on reducing behaviors or symptoms to look more typical, more normal. This model can be really useful in certain contexts, especially like in healthcare. But when it is the only way that we understand disability, it can become a problem. It puts all of the responsibility on the person to change and largely ignores the barriers in the environment or in society that are making things harder for them than it needs to be. Uh, the social model kind of flips that perspective. It says people have impairments, yes, but disability is created by inaccessible environments and rigid systems and social attitudes. So instead of asking, what is wrong with you? It kind of asks, what is wrong with the world that you're trying to live in that wasn't built for you? So in this view, for example, like a wheelchair user isn't actually disabled until they are at the bottom of a staircase and there is no ramp and there's no elevator. Or an autistic person isn't disabled until a workplace won't let you dim the lights in your office, right? It's the exclusion or the lack of choice that is disabling people, not the body or the mind itself. That model, the social model, has been kind of a game changer, especially for activism and for disability rights movements. It makes room for agency and for pride and has kind of created a way that there can be collective action among disabled people around accessibility issues. But it also has some limits for sure, like especially when it downplays the very real physical or sensory or cognitive challenges that people still face, even if they are in really supportive environments. So this next one is the one that I use in my research. It is called Critical Realist Disability Studies, or CRDS for short. It says, hang on a second, both of these things can be true at one time. It acknowledges that, yes, disability has real embodied elements. Chronic pain is real. Fatigue is real. Communication differences are real. But it also recognizes that those experiences become disabling depending on the systems and the supports and attitudes and the environments that we live in. So instead of choosing between it's in the person or it's in the world, CRDS looks at that complex interaction between the two and kind of asks what's going on in the body and what's happening in the environment and how are those things influencing each other in this specific context. I think it also leaves room for multiple truths, right? Like your experience of disability might be different from mine, not because one of us is wrong, but because we live in different bodies and different communities and have minds that work differently and we're in different systems. So that's what I love about this model. I think it doesn't ask you to flatten things. It kind of invites you to go deeper, to be curious, and to understand some more nuance, not just about what is happening, but why it's happening that way and maybe what we can do about it. So why does any of this matter? Because the model that you use, even if you don't know you're using it, really shapes everything. It shapes how you talk about disabled people. It talks about or shapes what kind of access you think is reasonable, whether you think support is a right or a favor, or how you design buildings and policies and lessons and relationships and work schedules and blah, blah, blah. And I think that that brings us to the next video, where I will talk about how these models impact the language that you use. Should you say people with disabilities or should you say disabled people? I will unpack that next and we'll talk a little bit about where those terms come from, what they reflect, and why different people have really different preferences for that. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me. In the next video, we'll dig into that language and identity. But for now, I hope that you carry this idea forward in your work and your conversations and even just how you see the world. And until then, please be thoughtful, be kind, and keep making more room for more people.